bad day. Bad day. Well, okay, I'll take one bad back. It's not that bad. But I am holding our main sheet block in my hand, which is not a good news. So, as per usual, when everything went crazy and we had this bad day, we were not holding a camera because we were just trying to get everything under control. So, let me set the scene for you a little bit. We are having a short 4-hour sail just to get to another anchorage, just to go do some more snorkeling, and all of a sudden we have a little bit of an accidental jibe. The wind was right behind us, and what a jibe means is that when you have the sails up and the wind is right behind you, it can't pick a direction to hit the sails from, and so it's kind of moving back and forth, and sometimes it can catch it and sort of shove your sail into one direction that you didn't want it to be in that direction on purpose, and that's why it's called an accidental jibe, because you didn't mean for it to happen. Anyway, so that happens, and our traveler, which holds this guy down and puts the pressure on the main sheet, busted up. So it was like a, and we had pieces of plastic and ball bearings just sort of scatter the deck, and the other issue that happened was when that happened, the sail, went even crazy because there was no more pressure keeping it nice and taut and in one, in direction, and our boat just went flow, and we went flow. So after we got all that under control and we managed to get to an anchorage and look at all the damages that had been done, we had 3 victims. The main and biggest victim that has absolutely put a stop for any passage planning is our traveler.
We weren't able to film while this was happening, but what really happened is that this plastic piece right here, which is supposed to go all the way across, and there are these little balls that run inside this track here. So this track here has some balls in there that are basically the ball bearings that run along the track and keep it smooth. This whole piece ripped off during that bad jibe that we had on both sides, and as it was tossing around, what we saw was that it suddenly went like this, off the track and into the air. So basically this is only being supported by these lines that are holding on the outside, and those are going to start chafing through if they're at this angle for too long, and it was basically tossed back and forth like this during a storm. And as it shook, all the ball bearings flew out onto the deck and into the water. So that means that we have a basically non-working traveler for now, and this piece here, this whole part has broken off. This is hard plastic, and everything inside fell out. So this piece unfortunately might not be usable unless we can find some spares. What this unfortunately means is that that part, since the plastic piece is broken off, is unusable. There's no way to keep the bearing balls in, even if we still had them, and we can't rely on our traveler. And if we can't rely on our traveler, we can't use our main sheet, and without that, we can't really do any kind of major passage until we find some kind of solution. So what we've done for now is we've taken this piece of Dyneema, we've kind of threaded it through and tied this down to the rail like a package, so that it doesn't really, it's not really attached to the rail, but when this force pulls on it, it stays attached, which is what we're looking for. This is definitely a jury rig and not a permanent solution, so hopefully we can find some way to fix this or replace it before we need to do a big passage. It is amazing what breakfast will do. We just came up with the jury rig. It seems like it would work as just a temporary solution. And we were listening to the morning net and we asked somebody, hey, has anybody had this problem before? Does anybody have spares for this? And somebody in Harbor mentioned that they do. So we're gonna get this off, bring it over to their boat, and see if what they have can fix our problem. The first step is to get the main block off of the traveler so we can get the traveler off and try to fix it. So first I'm gonna try to get this little pin here out, which means getting this out. Okay, I think I got it. All right, so that is out. So this pin should come right through. All of this needs a lot of cleanup. We haven't done that for quite a while. So, maybe some preventive maintenance would be good here too. So next step is the only thing holding it in now, because it's not on the track anymore, is the traveler control lines. So we can pull that through. there we go. This is our main sheet car. So you can actually see what it's supposed to look like. This part's the part that didn't break the most out of all the parts that broke. So this is what actually sits inside of this groove here and holds this to the main track. And that's what ripped off. So you can see here, this all used to exist until it was ripped off and thrown into the ocean. And that's why all the ball bearings that usually sit inside of there fell out. Now, if we look at the other side, the damage is even worse here. We only have the outside edges remaining, and all of this is gone. So without this, nothing holds this to the track, and that's why it flew straight off. So yeah, we're gonna see if we can find some replacements for these, some replacement balls. Otherwise, we need a brand new one of this piece. All right, I think we've got a solution, or at least the start of a solution. So we met another cruiser who had a very similar problem to ours, and it turns out this is a somewhat common issue to have your traveler rip off your main track. So they let us take a look at their piece that had broken. You can see this part here is kind of bent. So what we're going to do is see if this fits, because if this track fits, we can see online this is what Lumar now sells as the new version of what goes onto the Lumar tracks. So if this works, then either we can try to get this fixed, or we can order a part very similar to this to put onto our track. So first step, get these end pieces off over here. So we're going to take these bolts out and then see if we can get this onto our track. I don't actually know if this is what's holding this to the track, because I haven't really looked at this before, so let's hope this works. Okay, I can see the whole thing shaking, so that's a good sign that this will take the whole thing off. There we go. So this is the old one. I mean, it's broken, so clearly it's gonna kind of come off the track. But the new one also has a ton of flex here. And I don't know if the balls were in if we wouldn't have this flex. So yeah, I'm not sure if this works or not. After much routing it up and down the track and putting in some Torlon balls just to see, like, is it actually going to solidly stay on there, this model looks like it would work. Thankfully, even our 30-year-old track seems like it'll work with this relatively, like, 2-year-old car, which means that if we get a new car, it'll probably also work. Like, there's a lot of confidence that whatever we order will do the right thing. So now it's really just ordering it and getting it here on time.
The second victim is our poor dinghy and its chap. So usually this part is up nice and snug, and just as an extra protection, we keep a towel here in case there's a little bit of movement, and that day there was a little bit of movement. And that 1 inch back and forth basically chafed through the towel, chafed through the chaps, and chafed a little bit through the dinghy itself. So that needs some reinforcement, and this guy needs some repairs. I mean, he already needed some repairs, and so maybe it's time to get this guy nice and patched up.
All we really had this time.
Woo! I'm tied very securely to the boat, but it's still very, very windy. We fixed up the patch really well, and I actually took the opportunity to take all of the holes, basically, for hand holes that it has, and reinforce them in the back. And so, but there's about 10 of these that I did, and I think it's going to last another few years, which is really all I want from it. And the great news is the traveler car is ordered from Lumar, USA. There is a rigging company in Fort Lauderdale that has been an incredible help to us. It should be here sometime next week, which means in about a week and a half, we should be ready for passage making again. So that's really great news.
The last victim was the twin brother of this bowl. Inside the sink downstairs, we were bouncing around so much that it just went flying from one side to another. We usually don't have food shouldn't have dishes in a sink because in heavy seas the dishes will just get tossed around, but it was pretty calm before we lost our main, and then we lost our main and suddenly we just got tossed from rail to rail, and unfortunately his twin brother is now gone. He's all alone. And we only had 4 bowls and now we're down to 3, so we can't really entertain with bowls anymore. So that was the final victim.
A big thank you to our Patreons, Madi and Chris and Justin Fagan.